is the country's national flower. You can spot this snow white. You have to find a widow and spy on her as she leaves church. Then you have to sneak up on her and steal her purse. And finally, you have to take your stolen money and bury it beneath a mountain of ovens. And then you'll magically receive twice the amount you buried. Quite the get-rich-quick scheme, right? You might also notice beautiful purple flowers growing in some fields. These are lupins. Although this flower brings some color to the Icelandic landscape, it's also slowly pushing out native plants. Originally, farmers and scientists brought the lupin to Iceland in the 1940s in the hopes of combating soil erosion. Over the years, however, the lupin has been a little too successful. As the lupin thrives in Iceland, it pushes out many indigenous plants. Now, farmers fear that the lupin will completely take over some swaths of land. Up ahead, the Bæjarfoss waterfall overlooks the small town of Ólafsvík. The waterfall's name translates to town falls. And yes, Bæjarfoss is an easy walk from Ólafsvík. And this 10-minute journey is certainly worth it. The 100-plus foot falls create a veil of mist that slowly envelops you as you near the water. If you'd like to check out Bæjarfoss, turn right onto Engihlíð ahead. If you'd like to continue into Ólafsvík, keep driving straight. Keep right at the fork ahead. To your right rises Eni. If you see lights flickering, it could be the elves. Years ago, a man of Eni. There he saw 18
Continue for 5 kilometers.
Homes. To the man's surprise, the elves let him join in their New Year's celebrations. Kirkjufell translates to Church Mountain, but early Danish settlers had another nickname for them. They gave it that title thanks to the snow blanketing its peak. Do either of these sound right to you? Regardless which name you choose to call it, Kirkjufell has caught the eyes of humans throughout Iceland's history. A climb to the top of the 1,500-foot mountain takes less than 2 hours, but it's far from the easiest trek. In fact, there have been several fatalities on Kirkjufell in recent years as inexperienced hikers attempt to tackle the mountain's steep cliffs. So I'd recommend admiring it from the safety of the ground. To visit the viewpoint, pull into the gravel turnout on our left. Otherwise, continue driving. In about half a mile, Seagull's viewpoint offers a panoramic view of, well, you guessed it, a huge colony of seagulls. To visit the viewpoint, look out for a large blue sign on your right for Froðrheiði and Vatnaleið. Just after this sign, turn left onto a short gravel road. The viewpoint sits only a few hundred feet from the highway. If you're skipping this detour, continue driving straight. Just past the preferred spot for the Snæfellsnes seagulls, but what other birds can we see around the peninsula? If you're visiting in spring or summer, be on the lookout for a black and white bird with a long orange beak. This is Iceland's famous oystercatcher. But okay, the oystercatcher isn't a full-time Icelander. During summer, oystercatchers typically travel to warmer areas. Oystercatchers actually catch oysters. Well, yes, they do. Oystercatchers survive on a diet of oysters through the shells. Nice table manners. Another bird that makes its home here is the Arctic tern. Each year, the Arctic tern journeys all the way from Antarctica to Iceland. Over the course of its life, the tiny tern will fly the distance between the Earth and the Moon 2.5 times. But you have to be a little wary of these small white birds. If you get too close to their nests, Arctic terns will start to dive bomb you. If this happens, locals suggest holding a stick above your head. This usually distracts the furious terns. Continue driving. If you're in the mood for a laugh, be on the lookout for the clowns of the sea, also known as the puffin.
In 800 meters, turn right onto Route 54.
Sometimes seen crash landing into the calm sea. Unlike most birds, puffins don't have hollow bones. This means they're much heavier than other birds their size, so they can be a little uncoordinated. But puffins are actually very suave. These birds are total romantics, always keeping an eye out for the perfect partner.
Turn east on Route 54. Continue on Route 54 for 42 kilometers.
Early folklore says that puffins could predict the weather. These winged weathermen were said to fly inland 2 days before a major storm. Despite this usefulness, Icelanders have always hunted sagas. The most terrifying is Hraudkembingur, also known as redcomb. Legend has it that a bushy red mane covers this fearsome creature's back. Many refer to redcomb as a horse whale. This beast has rows of sharp teeth. Blue whale swims 3 times around a boat to signal the approach of danger. When the evil whales arrive, the blue whale chases them away. As Örvar Ott sails around Iceland, he encounters a small, mysterious island. He and his men disembark and wander around the rocky shore until they realize something horrible. This isn't an island, they say to one another. This is the back of a Hafqua. Although many of Örvar Ott's men perished in the ensuing bloodbath, the hero himself managed to defeat the monster and escape. In western Iceland, another frequently sighted sea monster is the Fjörulappi, or shore laddie. This otter-like animal stalks the beaches, bays, and inlets of Iceland. The shore laddie often preys on unsuspecting lambs. In the 1980s, an Icelandic writer published this story of a shore laddie encounter. One early winter evening, 6 men went out to see whether missing sheep had returned to the farm. They observed something moving by the shed and rushed to grab hold of the sheep and take it inside. When they came closer, they realized that this was no sheep. They formed a circle around the creature, which then took off towards the sea, pursued by the men. It ran as quickly as sheep. It had a hump on its back and jumped frequently as it ran. visit Bulandschau, the viewpoint, pull into the turnout on our left. Otherwise, continue. Continue straight. We've covered a lot. Well, in recent decades, Iceland has strived for gender equality, and in many ways, the country has succeeded. Between 1980 and 1996, Vigdis Finnbogadóttir served 4 terms as Iceland's first female president. Finnbogadóttir argued that her gender helped to make her a successful leader. She said, "I'm not amazed this fame as a foundation for her first presidential run in 1980. After that, Icelanders re-elected her 3 times as president. Finnbogadóttir remained popular, in part because of her grace and humor. Here are her amusing thoughts on Leif Eriksson's arrival in Newfoundland. Our Viking ancestors arrived in America before. We're approaching one of the peninsula's most unusual attractions, a giant padlock. This attraction is exactly what it sounds like. It's a very big padlock. In fact, this will almost certainly be the largest padlock you ever see. Loch is a remnant of a seaside farm that once sat alongside the road. Chances are you'll even be able to fit your head through the loch. In a minute, we'll talk about some mythical creatures who maybe own. To visit Iceland's largest padlock, look for a short gravel road on your left. Turn here into the most tales. Trolls are large, brutish creatures who live in caves and remote mountain hideaways. Although trolls might seem a little less intelligent than the Huldufolk, they are equally capable of casting magical spells. Often they use these enchantments to lure unsuspecting humans deep into the mountains. Perhaps the most famous troll in Iceland is Grýla. This wicked troll often takes the form of a beggar who wanders through towns searching for mischievous children. Grýla brings these troublemakers back to her cave, where she cooks them in a colossal sauce known as the Yule Lads. Later in the tour, we'll hear even more about these holiday pranksters. So be on your best behavior as we get to that deposited sheets of lava on Kirkjuvik at the base of the mountain.